Hello, we are the Geeks and Degenerates. I am Enzo, this is my forever co-host, Jump. And today, for our detective lineup, we are talking about one of the most famous, if not the most famous detective of all time, and that is Sherlock Holmes. The movie directed by Guy Ritchie, starring, of course, Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law as Sherlock Holmes and Watson. Were you excited for this movie before it came out?
Didn't they come out like 2008?
2009, says Google.
2009. So it was like right after Iron Man. So I was like, Iron Man doing another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was I was pretty excited for this. I don't remember if I watched it in theaters or through DVD because I do remember having a DVD, like a Blu-ray DVD of it.
I remember watching this in theaters because my mom had the biggest crush on Robert Downey Jr. And everybody was obsessed with Robert Downey Jr. since this was after Iron Man and Tropic Thunder. So he was on a roll. He was definitely on a roll. And Iron Man 2 was coming out the next year. So everybody was like, oh, this guy is on a renaissance. I can't wait to see what he does next. And being that being Sherlock, they're like, all right, let's see his take on Sherlock. Because I don't even remember who came before this. Someone in the comments section tell us because my mind's blanking.
No, but I mean, for sure, that's not what a detective does, or that's not how Sherlock was portrayed in the books.
Yeah,
where for sure there was more thinking rather than action. But man, it was cool.
Yeah, like how he breaks down how he's gonna incapacitate the first guard. You're just like, that's fucking sick.
Yeah. No, this was like high level ADHD. The whole fucking time, he's just talking in his head. He's very hyper aware with everything. I was like, all right, yeah, this guy just has ADHD.
Yeah, and you see both him and Watson are very capable of being combative. They know how to deal their shots and their blows. And Sherlock being the detective he knows how to. He's basically almost like Victorian Batman of I know which bones to break, what muscles to hurt. You're like, oh shit, this is fucking sick. The villain, Lord Blackwood, is portrayed by one of my favorite actors, Mark Strong. You're like, every time you need a good starting villain, Mark Strong's the perfect guy to go, except if you're Green Lantern, apparently.
Yeah. I will say this is pretty much Batman by Gaslight.
Yeah.
It's pretty much it. If ever they just went with that universe, this is what we got with the Victorian era Batman.
Yeah.
So it's pretty sick. I did have fun with this, and when I was a kid, I was like, I want to be like that. I want to be that smart, but also that tough.
Yeah, I wonder
I don't know when that's gonna happen, but yeah.
I wonder, taking out Blackwood's man, it's basically like Batman and Nightwing almost. Of these two adults are very capable of protecting themselves and they don't really need each other, but when they work together, it's magic that's happening. But you see how deceivious Blackwood is? He has that knife, that ice knife, he's about to stab Watson with. I feel like you're going to be a very compelling villain for this movie.
It was. I liked him. He was, again, a very Batman-esque villain.
Yeah. Definitely someone Batman would go up against if this was Batman by... What do you call it? Gotham by Gaslight.
Gotham by Gaslight, my bad. Not Batman by Gaslight.
That's fine. I get the titles confused sometimes too. But you can tell how much of a... Again, it's nice seeing Robert Downey Jr. playing a narcissist because Sherlock Holmes is the definition of being a narcissist. Where he's it's all about me. I'm the most brilliant mind, but I don't know how to interact with people, especially with Watson's fiancée. You're like, poor girl. Yeah, spill that wine on him, asshole.
Calls her. I was like, oh, did you leave your husband? Because there's a little mark on your ring finger. Yeah, of course you can't take offense to that.
It's like, I didn't leave him, he's dead, you asshole. But you got pretty much everything right. Have some fucking wine. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what you get when he sees everything.
Yeah. And you also learned that Watson is a veteran of the British Empire's Afghan War. You're like, oh, that's why he's very capable of being a combat veteran.
No, I feel like that was Watson. He is a soldier.
Yeah.
Or he has military expertise as a medical doctor. Combatant medic.
combat.
what you call it?
I
I'm
don't
trying
know.
to think of big words.
Don't
I
know.
really am. This movie got me thinking. I'm like, man, I should like expand my vocabulary a little bit more.
But I just see how seeing how dependent Sherlock is on Watson. Of like, I need a normal human being to interact with, otherwise I'll go insane. Also, I need to be solving cases 24/7. Since the Blackwood is like their last mystery together, you see him be like, "Oh, you don't want to solve mysteries with me anymore? Okay."
Yeah, because he's getting married.
Yeah, it's like, just leave me alone. I have my own life. Sherlock's like, no, you have to solve cases forever. He's like, oh, fuck, all right.
But of course, he's the type of guy who doesn't say no to Sherlock.
Yeah. And I do like the fact that their last request of Lord Blackwood of like, I want to see Sherlock, and he's just there to tell Sherlock like what's coming ahead. You'll never be prepared for. When you realize what's happening, it's too late. And Sherlock's like, okay. He's like, oh, fine, fuck you then.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think we're gonna go by this chronologically because there's too much shit.
Yeah, but the main point is that Blackwood's hanged, and Rick, I guess that's the end of the main bad guy.
But I do like this character.
Lord Blackwood.
Yeah, because this is the time, like 18th century, where they're like, oh, black magic is pretty much a thing. We accuse people of like all that jazz, and Victorian era London is pretty much the perfect setting for that.
Yeah.
And Lord Blackwood's the type of guy who's using chemicals and like futuristic steampunk-esque devices to commit these magic, like to make magic somewhat real. Like,
yeah,
somebody got sprayed with like flammable liquid, making it look like rain, and then as soon as he shoots the gun, it pretty much ignites him on fire. I'm like, that looks like magic if that were me.
Right.
Like if I was in the same fucking role, I'd been like, he's a witness. There's no doubt about it.
Right. Again, Mark Strong being the strong actor that he is, him being able to carry these roles of being a perfect villain, like whether he's in this Kick-Ass, even Shazam, where like the movie's not the best, but he is having a standout in the movie. Even in Kingsman, where he's not the main villain, but almost every movie he's in, you're like, I like that guy. He's a good character, or a very threatening villain. It's either two of the extreme. You're like, I like you in both roles. Also, since you touched upon like the steampunk and Victorian London, like I do like just the set design of everything. It's like the clothes, where they are. You feel like this is not that London's comparable to Gotham, but you feel like the grime that you've read in like the old Victorian books of like if you read like Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens, you get the sense that I'm running out of breath. The sense that Victorian London is just grimy. It's like even in broad daylight, you're like, I don't want to fall on the ground. I might get infected with like cholera.
Like tetanus is just like one sip away of like mud water.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when Sherlock like jumps out of a window and like lands on his feet and immediately to the ground, I'm like, yeah. I feel like, but I gotta say though, the fits, like Sherlock and like Watson, they got the fits down.
Yeah.
Sherlock has this like very rugged Victorian era look, while Watson has this very prim and proper kind of,
That's the opposite
look.
I like, where Sherlock doesn't know how to take care of himself, but Watson is very distinguished. Like, that's a very, if you don't really catch it with your eyes, you catch it eventually by the way they talk, the way they handle themselves, and then when you watch this movie again, you're like, oh, I see the difference clearly.
And I gotta say, Robert Downey Jr., for a person who's playing a character who doesn't like to take care of himself all that much, he looks great.
Right?
Like him in those fight scenes where he's like shirtless and he's in like the underground fight bar or some shit.
I remember the theater when he went shirtless. Everyone in the theater was like, "Wow,
wow!" Like it's a very weird, lean Jack look.
Yeah.
At the same time, you're like, if he wore a shirt, I wouldn't expect this guy to kick my ass.
Right? And he doesn't. Like when they're investigating the area where they're trying to see where the missing guy went, and they're sniffing around. And then this one big guy comes in, and Sherlock has to take care of the one big guy while Watson holds his own. But Sherlock was like, I don't know what to do. I'll use the zappy thing to hurt you.
And I will say the choreography for this movie is fucking great. I love it that they mix Wing Chun. It is very like period correct. Like nobody really knows mixed martial arts yet. Everybody's like very dirty boxing.
Yeah, brawling.
While you could tell that Sherlock Holmes is he's a way smarter person to be like, I would like to try the legit martial arts, which is kung fu, which is a big thing since Chinese immigrants started coming into the West.
Yeah.
Around that time.
Yeah, you can tell when he takes care of the boxer. Like, I had never seen Londoners like block with their elbows. Like that's a very
or like use that move. I was like, this is very Wing Chun-esque.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And how he punches too. It's that one. I was like, yep, that's very kung fu.
Yeah. Well.
Okay.
Since you brought up Gotham by Gaslight and like Sherlock Holmes being Batman, like Irene Adler definitely is Catwoman / Selena Kyle. I forgot, like when I rewatched this movie, I was like, right, Rachel McAdams was here, and she's pretty good as Irene Adler.
Yeah, very femme fatale kind of like thing where she's like, oh, we have a past, but it's up to the viewers to kind of just piece it together.
And at first, when Sherlock Holmes is following her, and you think the person in the carriage is like, oh shit, is that Lord Blackwood? And then you find out later on who it is, who they're setting up for the next movie. Which I like when movies have the Christopher Nolan like Batman Begins, Dark Knight take off. Like, we'll start with the unknown villain first, and then we'll get to the big bad that everybody knows and loves. Like for Batman Begins with Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul. For this one, it's just Lord Blackwood, and like the other people of his order, and then the next one is Moriarty, who's portrayed by Jared Harris, which we'll get to eventually if we do another detective lineup, which we'll probably do with A Haunting in Venice.
I would love to do the second Sherlock Holmes movie, which is such a shame because I'm guessing it didn't do well.
Yeah, I think he got buried with other movies.
Yeah, but that movie was so fucking good.
Right. Well, we're not talking about this. Like, again, back to Rachel McAdams. Like, I kind of wish she was in it more, though. Like, her scenes are like very few and far between. Like, that's a shame.
I think she had like. Yeah, it does suck that she kind of like quarter of the way into the movie, like that's when she really like stays into the scene instead of like being at the background, being the shady past love who can kick ass kind of character. So I do. Yeah, same here. Like I wish she kind of. They were like the big three. Like, Jude Law, Rachel McAdams, and Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. I also like the idea of that there's this order, who is helmed by Blackwood's father, who like controls how the world works. Essentially, they're basically the Illuminati. That's someone's sorry, if you heard that.
It's okay.
And like it's almost international because of course someone controls commerce, someone else just controls basically Parliament, and then like we have like the one Tolkien American here. Like of course you have a Tolkien American character in this order. Why not?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. Again, there's so much into this world that I wish we got to explore more with if they ever made like a series of movies with Sherlock in it.
Yeah. I do like how Blackwood arranges all of this, because when he does reveal himself to the order of like his plan of like once we're going to start with Parliament and then we're going to go for the world, and then he goes to the Americans like, you know, you used to be a colony of ours. We're going to take you back because of your civil war that's weakened you so. You're like, oh shit. As a kid.
that would have been horrible.
Right? I was like, revenge, motherfucker. Like, oh, the fuck. As a kid, like, I didn't understand what the word they were saying. I was like, America's civil war? What does that mean? When did this happen?
Right, like, I was like, what the fuck's he talking about? And then once you hear it again as an adult, you're like, wait.
Yeah.
Thank God he
Like, at first I didn't get how Blackwood's father died. I was like, he didn't drown. He just froze. And then when it's revealed later, like, oh, like what you said, like, the illusion of black magic. When it said it's like just steampunk science. Like, I really do like this idea. And this is why, for this Sherlock at least, for me, it's my favorite version because the way they just explain everything, the settings right, the characters right. This, I know some people don't like Robert Downey Jr.'s version of Sherlock, which is fine. Others like the old versions. Others like Benedict Cumberbatch versions. But like this was the perfect one for me because he portrays his mind so well. And like I know Robert Downey Jr. is not really British, but he does a great job anyway. So you're like, I'll take it.
I'll take it. I do like it. I really do.
Yeah.
Like, sure, it's not your whole like slow-paced detective movie where piecing things together. I would love to have seen. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty much an action / detective movie.
Yeah.
It's somewhat superhero-esque.
It's a more action version of Sherlock than most people would like when people are like. It's the same thing with the Christopher Nolan movies where they're like, or Batman movies where they're like, I wish he was more of a detective instead of punching person. But here you're like, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take the Batflex and the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we keep mentioning like the elaborate Victorian times of like the villain is very elaborate, like the way he sets up traps. Like he's almost like not Joker, but like I can't really think of a stoic Batman villain for the life of me.
It's very Joker-esque with what he does.
Yeah, Joker-esque with the saw traps he have for like Miss Irene Adler. Like Jesus Christ, I thought it was Sherlock Holmes, not fucking Jigsaw that I'm watching.
It was a very big Saw scene though. Like even like, oh, can you hear me?
He came back in time.
Right. Hello.
All right, you're good.
Okay. But yeah, it was a very Jigsaw scene, especially when like Watson's like, "All right, the price here is pain," and like he like covers himself with like the fire blanket.
Yeah. Watson is getting warm. Like, oh shit, is this the end of Sherlock? Oh, I hope not, because I really like this movie.
No, dude, I would say so. Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law were
Perfection.
Perfect. Yeah, I was like, this feels like a dynamic duo. They meant so well together. They work off each other.
Yeah, like the fact that people are still clamoring for another one just tells you how magical these two are as their respective characters. Like
I'm calling it now. Like there will be a third movie.
Yeah, same here.
People will kind of like go back and see and like, holy fuck, why is there only 2 movies of this?
Right.
When clearly it seems like it's a bigger scope, kind of. Like,
Yeah.
Like we could see maybe a trilogy or 6 movies.
I would like
going through Sherlock's villains.
Yeah.
Maybe Jack the Ripper. Kind of a shame they killed
Moriarty.
Well, to be honest, we don't know if he's dead.
That's true. We never saw either bodies, but we know one of them is alive. We don't know about the other one. Which is it's a shame because Moriarty is the Lex Luthor, the Joker to Sherlock Holmes' Batman, Superman, all that jazz. But yeah, I do like the scene when he tricks the right hand of Blackwood to confess like, oh, he's planning to gas Parliament, and like he just smokes up the place with the fireplace. Like that's very Batman-esque, not gonna lie. And he just dives out of the Parliament building just to go to Parliament himself and try to save them with this steampunk thing. And I do like the exchange of like, oh no, now it's Dr. Watson taking over the big burly guy, and he's like, sleep, please trust me, I'm a doctor, I'm not gonna snap your neck. It's like, oh, what a gentleman.
Oh wait, okay, trust me, I'm a doctor. Yeah, I was like, oof.
It's like, what a gentleman until the end. He's not gonna kill you, he's just gonna make you sleep for a long time.
Yeah, and Rachel McAdams like runs off with a device.
Yeah.
And like, of course, Sherlock has to catch him, and they get to the bridge. I don't know how they got there.
Right? From the sewers to the bridge, you're like, that's kind of a leap, literally, but sure, I'll take it. Why not? I guess Victorian London's underground is more elaborate than we give it credit for. Who knows? Some historian or some history buff will probably comment down below.
Or somebody in the comments will just go, it's a fucking move.
Right? Well, you said it first, so they can't say it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, will you just be honest with me for once? She's like, I would like to, but before they can say anything else, Blackwood ambushes them and he tries to kill them, but he's caught on the chain, and Sherlock tells him like how he figured out his master plan, and he's like, Cool, great. Please cut me loose.
Also, this is how you fucking do it. If you want to be vague on how smart your detective is, make him do things like pick up a piece of hair, make him sniff things, taste a little bit of rock from here to there, even though it's dirty ass Victorian era London.
Yeah.
He picks up a rat's tail and he figures shit out. And, like, he's picking up the clues as we go, and we're like, we don't know what that is. Explain, Sherlock.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I deducted that X, Y, and Z equals this. Because he picked those up, showing us how he got clues and kind of deducted it from there.
Yeah.
And figured it out from there, sorry. And we were like, okay. Kind of shows he's smarter than me. But at the same time, it makes sense because he got the clues. Instead of like, he's smarter than me and he will never tell me how.
Yeah, unlike Mr. Hercule Poirot, this one explains, like, oh, that's why he was acting so weird among these scenes. Oh, that finally explains why.
Yeah, like, especially with the scene where, oh, how he found out that it's not, the guy with, like, the hand pistol was, who Rachel McAdams working with.
Yeah.
Like, he did the whole disguise thing, and then we had a whole flashback on how he got that information. So it's like, just give us itty bitty bits of information. If we can't figure it out ourselves, that's fine. Just explain it at the end instead of just like, we gave you nothing, and this is the answer. What? But yeah.
I also like how Blackwood like Clayton's himself from like Tarzan. Like, oh Jesus Christ, why does Victorian London and you're gonna say?
Yeah. No, go finish.
Why do Victorian as villains always end like this, just hanging themselves accidentally?
Oh, I don't. But I will say that I love that line though, where they're like, "Oh, this time we'll hang you properly," and then Blackwood goes, "We're far away from the ropes," and then that's when it snaps.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
He gets hung. I'm like, oh, I guess we're not that far now.
Exactly. And then like he goes to Irene Adler, and then she tells him who he's working for. Like he's very Moriarty is very much your equal, and much more dangerous. And like, I wonder who the actor is. And they got a very good actor to be Moriarty, and Jared Harris. Like, I can't think of anyone else to be Moriarty.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I love him as Moriarty.
Yeah, like again, Jared Harris is one of the actors where like doesn't really pop up everywhere on every movie he's in that you watch, but like when he does, you're like, oh shit, it's that guy. Even if it's like a shitty movie like the later Resident Evils, you're like, oh look, it's one actor of Pristine.
He's in the Resident Evil.
Yeah, he's in the second one.
Anyway.
Right. They were like, we need to get one prestigious actor in this duology. I don't know. It wasn't trilogy yet. Yeah, it ends probably with Watson going to his marriage life and Sherlock still being like, I thought we were partners forever, but okay.
But of course, a case comes along. I love it that they also explain he faked his death.
Yeah.
Like how Blackwood faked his death, where he had that sling thing to keep him from like choking on the thing, on the rope, and chemical that stops his or like slows down his heartbeat to make it seem like he's dead.
Yeah. Same thing like other movies use. I think Winter Soldier did use the same thing as well when Nick Fury was assassinated.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just a very good movie, I would say. And again, like watching this, and I had to watch the second one. I'm like, yeah, why isn't there number 3 in this trilogy? That should be a trilogy. Out of all the movie franchises that should be a trilogy, this is one of them. Like other movie franchises, you're like, you don't need to be a trilogy. Stop making movies of yourselves, please.
Yeah, I will say the second one was a little too much of an action movie, and
Definitely.
like Sherlock Holmes became more like its detective powers became more of like
An afterthought.
Superpower.
Yeah.
Well, not an afterthought, but like instead of him being a detective, it became like a superpower thing.
Yeah.
Like how that gypsy lady was like, "What do you see?" He's like, "Everything."
Or like, this is not Eagle Vision from Assassin's Creed. Just figure shit out, please.
Yeah. So, but I still enjoyed it. It was like a really good action movie.
Yeah. But are you saying that for this one or the last one? Was you about to
Uh,
rate this one?
I was talking about like the second movie.
Ah, yeah, okay. But yeah, since we're here, what would you rate the first Sherlock Holmes?
I'll give it a solid 8 out of 10. Like, it's not a perfect movie, and probably I would have liked a little bit more detective work, but the action's great, the choreography's good, the actors and actresses in it are fucking good, and the build up to like an expanded universe was fucking good.
Yeah.
Sadly wasted, unless come on,
They keep talking about it.
Uh,
I hope it happens.
I really hope it happens. Like, I don't know, we got a lot of like Victorian era villains like Jack the Ripper, the Queen.
Twin- what a twist.
But yeah, like, well, I would like to go back into that world of Sherlock Holmes, Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes. Wait,
Yeah.
it's an 8 out of 10.
I'll give this a 9 out of 10. I just really do enjoy this. I guess especially for Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law, their dynamic is just so great. Seeing them work together, it's like I hope not just for Sherlock Holmes. I just wish you were in other movies together because I just like your what do you call that? Your chemistry together.
Chemistry?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if they can also be with Rachel McAdams, like that's a bonus. I mean, I don't think Robert Downey Jr. is like really busy unless he has other Oppenheimer-esque movies. Like since he's done with the MCU, I don't know what he's doing next. I hope it's Sherlock Holmes 3 or some other really cool project. Maybe with Jude Law, maybe with Rachel McAdams, who knows. But yeah, it's a very unique, good movie for me. And that's all I have to say about the first Sherlock Holmes. Anything else you want to say about this movie?
we said we're pretty much everything.
Alright. So yeah, that's been our video on Sherlock Holmes. If you like our videos, please like our videos and subscribe to the channel and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. Individually, I am not on Twitter, but you can find me editing stuff, and I'm still on the platform with like Spotify where you can hear us on the go, and TikTok where you can see our best and funniest moments, and we also do trailer reactions, so you can see me plenty there. Individually though, you can find Jom at no, I just powered through it.
You threw me off.
Ah,
I was like, he's never done this before.
Right?
Okay. But you can find me at JomGOM on Instagram. That is my handle.
yeah, and we have one relaxed or comedy-esque detective video next. So until then, we'll see you there. Bye, everybody.